Take us back a little and tell us about the origins of democracy.
Democracy in Athens, in ancient Rome, etc., really begins with the notion not that one person, one vote is fair in some deep sense, but rather that, you know, there's a particular form of military organization called the phalanx, where people would get into a big group and they would have a bunch of shields and they would all march forward, and whoever had more people would win. So as a way of avoiding actually fighting things out, people would instead take a majority vote as a way of reflecting sort of their military strength. And while that started as sort of just this pragmatic thing, it obviously became a very storied idea. And when democracy started to reemerge, you know, during the Enlightenment and just before the Enlightenment, people looked to these models, but they didn't really reflect what those people were trying to achieve. They weren't really trying to achieve one person, one vote. They were really trying to achieve the notion that the popular, you know, will should in some sense rule. And what we've been sort of working on in the book is trying to get back to that notion, the notion that people may know or care different amounts about different issues, and that we should allow them to reflect that rather than just have a mechanical one person, one vote system.
How would that work in today's day and age?
So the idea is that everyone would have an equal endowment of what we call voice credits. These are rights to influence collective decisions, but rather than everyone getting one vote on every issue, they could spend this budget on the issues that are most important to them according to a particular rule, which is that the cost of the number of votes that you get on any given issue would be the square of the number of votes that you buy on that issue.
Does this get into your idea about collective decisions as well?
Exactly, right. So the idea is that for making decisions as groups rather than as individuals, we have to use this quadratic pricing rule rather than just one, you know, you have a budget of votes that you can spread across things however you want. It's increasingly costly to have influence on an issue. The first vote is cheap, the next vote is more expensive, and so forth. That's called quadratic voting.
How would that work in the US in a presidential election, for example?
So the idea is that you could vote in favor of or against any candidate, and one vote in favor or against would cost 1 voice credit, 2 votes in favor or against would cost 4 voice credits, 3 votes in favor or against would cost 9 voice credits. And so the concept is that, you know, if you think about our last presidential election, both of the candidates that ended up in the final were deeply unpopular. So if you actually looked at how strongly people supported or opposed different candidates, and you ranked all the people who ran in the primaries, Trump came in dead last, Hillary Clinton came in second to last. The most popular was John Kasich, and Bernie Sanders was second. But neither of them got in because of this weird system we have, where everyone ends up having to vote for someone just to keep the person that they don't want out of power. Under this system, is you could vote in favor of or against candidates and express how strongly you felt. The strong opposition to Clinton and Trump would have kept them down and made room for others to float up above them. And that system would avoid a lot of the sort of crazy things that we have where we get candidates that nobody really wants.